Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kuru Me Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Gurudeva Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Hari Om and good afternoon from Portland. A friend is one who challenges you. Who is a friend in our lives or not in our lives? It is those who challenge us. Now, if you look around, we have friends from Pittsburgh and Montreal and Raleigh and Chicago and Alpharetta and Portland and in so many different places. In India also. And we've all become friends because we're all seeking vichara. Vichara is to think about thoughts. Vichara is to think about what we're doing, about who we are. And all of you are making this possible by being seekers of vichara. And our friendship is taking us to a jnana yajna on Human to Hanuman. Whenever you think of yajna, we have to understand that there are 4 parts to a yajna. The first part is the offerer. Part 2 is the offering. Part 3 is the offered to. And part 4 is the purpose or the invocation. Now this is a virtual jnana yajna. So the word yajna is there. So there has to be 4 parts. So what are these 4 parts? We start with the offerer. Who is the offerer? The ego. What is the offering? Ignorance. What is the offered to? Jnana. And what is the purpose? Bhagwan. To invoke Hanumanji. Another word for this is yanti. Yanti means to repair, to go back. Our mistake, our ajnana, is that we believe that we're humans. And what we believe we are limited by that belief. If I believe that I'm a useless person, then I'm going to carry myself like that. But if I believe I'm a worthwhile person, I will carry myself like that. If I believe that I am Bhagwan, I will carry myself like that. Now, this word Bhagwan is quite abstract for us when it's actually not. Yesterday, someone had asked a question about how do we start to treat our itihasas as history and not just a story. So I'm going to tell all of you exactly who Bhagwan is. Okay? There's 6 ways to look at Bhagwan. Try to remember this. It will really change your relationship with God. Bhagwan is Aishwarya. Aishwarya means a joyous. Bhagwan is joyous. So what is God? God is joy. Bhagwan is dharma. Dharma is responsible. So when we say we pray to God, we're really saying is we're praying to the one who is responsible. Bhagwan is yashaha. What does yashaha mean? See, we say famous, but Snoop Dogg is famous too, correct? You're all saying yes. Not famous, but revered. There's a significant difference between famous and revered. Snoop Dogg is not revered. He is famous, period. So revered. Bhagwan is Shriya. Shriya means virtuous. Like I said, Shri Guru. The Guru is great because of those virtues. Bhagwan is Vairagya. Vairagya is independent. And finally, Bhagwan is Jnana. Jnana is wisdom. So now you study these. Joyous, responsible, revered, virtuous, independent, and wise. That's you. And you do have these virtues, but we believe that we're human, so we don't exhibit these to their fullest potential. And that's why we're trying to offer our ignorance that we are just humans. One of the most overwhelming experiences that we all go through is not knowing what to do, not knowing what is right. What program do I take up? What career do I take up? What relationship do I take up? I don't know. And not knowing causing us to be overwhelmed shows that ignorance is not bliss. Isn't it? People use that so casually, but if ignorance is bliss, not knowing what to do, I should be fine with that. But I'm not fine with that. If you study Hanumanji, you study Tulsidasji, they lived for Bhagwan. Goswamiji lived for Hanumanji, Hanumanji lived for Bhagwan Rama. And if you don't like these words, Lord Rama and Hanumanji, change them to these virtues. Tulsidasji lived for these virtues, Hanumanji lived for these virtues. Then living becomes very simple. Our paths are not just gray, they're ultra gray. We just don't know where to go. But if you're living for Bhagwan, the paths become ultra black and white. So really there's not paths then, there's just path. That's why we're seeking guidance from Bhagwan Hanuman and Tulsidasji. So what have they taught us so far? This is part of your questions, correct? To write down all 15 of the verbs without looking at your notes. You know, when I got to virtues 11, 12, and 13, I couldn't remember either. I actually put question marks there. But the Vichara Gurukula Sevikas, they try to protect my image, so they fill in the blanks for me. But I myself couldn't remember those three without looking at my notes. Yesterday specifically, we studied in Chaupai 10 that we have to exert. That Hanumanji, when toughness comes, then the tough get going, right? When the going gets tough, the tough get going. That's Hanumanji. We too have to bring out the best in us when that's required. This is the work of Bhagwan, is to reestablish balance. And I gave you a story about Bhima and Bakasura. I'm going to tell you another narration relating to Bhagwan Krishna that connects this. The first terrorist that tried to kill Bhagwan Krishna when he was an infant was Putana. And when she brought her poisonous body to Bhagwan, Bhagwan took in all of that poison. And he took in fully that poison. So what remained of her? Just that purity. See, the word puta means pure. Puta na means impure. He took away the na part. And what is shared is when Bhagwan took all of that impurity from Putana, she passed away, and the fragrance that was being emitted from her was of sandalwood, of chandan. We always think of Bhagwan restoring balance in a violent way. That's not true. He restores balance in the way that a forest fire happens. We don't understand that forest fire is needed for growth. So exert, work hard. Those struggles are for our own strengthening. In Chopai 11, we saw how Hanumanji brought Sanjeevani to restore Sri Lakshmana, and Bhagwan Rama was very happy with this. And the sadhana in Chopai 11 is pray. When we pray, we become quiet. When we're quiet, we find that Sanjeevani. We find that peace within ourselves. And for all of the people who know how to perform a puja, we repeatedly say, Shri Parameshwara Prityartham. Why are we performing this puja? To bring the artha, meaning of priti. In other words, to please Bhagwan. That's what Hanumanji did in Chopai 11. So pray. In Chopai 12, we studied how Bhagwan was praising you and said that you're like Shri Bharata, the one who loves me. And so the Chopai for us is choose. You choose Bhagwan, Bhagwan will choose you. If we choose the mayor may or may not choose us, correct? And I don't know if I shared this with all of you, but if I did, just smile and nod like it's new, okay? We think Bhagwan is partial. We look to that person and say, she's blessed and I'm not, and he has this, and that person is suffering and that person is benefiting. In Ramayana, who was Sugriva an incarnation of? Surya, correct? And his brother Vali was an incarnation of? Indra. Whose side did Bhagwan take? Surya's side, correct? Now you fast forward to Mahabharata. Who was Karna an incarnation of? Surya. Who was Arjuna an incarnation of? Indra. Whose side did Bhagwan take? Indra. So don't say Bhagwan is partial. You saw Vali was not interested in Bhagwan. Karna was not interested in Bhagwan. You choose Bhagwan, Bhagwan will choose you. In the 13th Chopai, we saw how Sri Lakshmana also was praising Hanumanji, and Bhagwan Rama brought him so close to himself. And the sadhana for Chopai 13 was unite. The last step of any puja is nivedanam, correct? Not nivedanam of food, that's what we think of. It's atma nivedanam. We offer that separation. We offer that ego. And then there's only Bhagwan to unite. In Chopai 14, we studied Lord Brahma's family tree. And Lord Brahma's family tree is unable to describe Hanumanji. That which is created cannot know the cause of that sense of creation. So in this Chopai, the sadhana was believe. You see, in all of the names we studied in Chopai 14, they're all wise people. And all of these wise people are focused on the highest. We may not know the highest, but we know the wise people, so we should believe those wise people. It's like the rung directly above us rather than 10 rungs above us. Even intellectually, if you believe this, good enough for now. If you believe all of this is just symbolic, that's better than not believing it's symbolic, correct? But from the head, this has to go to the heart. From the heart to the hands. That's the internalization. And then in Chopai 15, we studied all of those devatas with these special portfolios. And many of you wrote about this in your answers. The sadhana for Chopai 15 was accept. Accept that Yama is limited. Accept that Kubera is limited. Accept that these Kavis and Kovids, they're all limited. And if they're limited, they can only give you that which is limited, correct? Then why worship those devatas? For all of the people in the Moha Mudgara course, our first line from yesterday was Artham Anartham. Artha means wealth, generally. Anartha means has no meaning. Wealth has no meaning when it comes to creating happiness. That's why it's artha, anartha. Here too, these devatas cannot lead us to independent joy, cannot lead us to Bhagwan. Then why are we wasting our time? The last message I shared with all of you yesterday was, why are we working for the finite? Correct? I think that's what I shared. Why work for the finite? We now come to the completion of the first half of Hanuman Chalisa. I'm on Chaupai 16. Please chant with me. Tuma upakara sugriva hikina Rama milaya rajapadadhina. Tuma upakara sugriva hikina. The advice that you gave to Sugriva, he followed it. And when he followed it, Rama milaya, he met Bhagwan Rama, and what came with Bhagwan Rama? Rajapada. He became the king of the monkeys. So let's study Sugriva a little bit more. What is the difference between Adesha and Upadesha? What is the difference between Adesha and Upadesha? Adesha is a command. It's an order. Like Raja's Adesha. It comes from the top and it comes to us. Upadesha is advice. It is guidance. Like Upadesha Sara. That comes from beside us. Even though the person offering that Upadesha is not our equal, like Sri Ramana and Upadesh Sara, he's not our equal, but it's as if he's our equal. So the word upakara is used, and I'll explain that. Think of it as upadesha, your advice, tuma upadesha. Now, why did Sugriva follow Hanumanji's advice? Why would you follow anyone's advice? You would only follow their advice if they're following their advice, correct? If they themselves are not following their advice, why would you follow their advice? So Sugriva follows Hanumanji's advice because Hanumanji is following that same advice. Swami Chinmayananda says, the best way to live life, follow the advice that you give to others. We would all be perfect if we followed the advice we gave to others. Through this leading by example that Hanumanji did, Sugriva followed. Sugriva had to give Bhagwan Rama just a little bit, really. He descend the monkeys that he rules to find Mother Sita. And what did he get in return? There is an infinite return. He got Bhagwan Rama. And then this Rajapada, you can interpret it as he became the king of the monkeys, or you could say Rajapada, that he was at the feet of the Raja. He had to take one step, Bhagwan gave him 1,000 steps. An infinite return. So now we bring this to ourselves. From an adhyatmic level, what does this Chaupai teach? Let's go back to the word upakara. Kara means to do. Upa means for others. So upakara means to help others. I think the opposite of this is paropakara or apakara. It's where you don't help others. It's where you hurt others. So upakara. When you and I are engaged in helping others, what happens is that we become more pure. We become more sincere. And the more pure and sincere that we become, who comes with that? Guru comes. And wherever the Guru is, who comes with that? God. That's what this Chaupai is teaching. We have to live to help others. And when we do, that will be a small investment with infinite returns. We get lost in our day-to-day affairs. Run here, buy this, transact in this way, fight with this person. We live such functional lives that we forget about the fundamental. I keep chiding that to graduate from most high schools, you have to have 100 hours of volunteering. Why do you have to be forced to volunteer to graduate from high school? Shouldn't you be doing that anyways? Shouldn't our whole lives be revolving around upakara, helping? In Sanskrit we say, Sharira Madhyama Kalu Dharma Sadhanam. That the purpose of this body is to engage in dharma. And that's it. That's the only purpose of this body. To engage in dharma. In other words, to follow our responsibilities, to help others. And one more point on this Chopai is, when Hanumanji met Bhagwan Rama, did he hold Bhagwan Rama just for himself? He invited him to his home and then locked him there. Said all bhikshas will just be at this home and nobody else can come. You see how as soon as he recognized Bhagwan Rama's greatness, he shared this with Hanuman, with Sugriva. That shows the greatness of a disciple is in sharing. That's another form of upakara. I had read in one place that the person that introduces you to satsang is your greatest friend. Think about the person who introduced you to satsang. Hasn't your life changed because of that? Because in satsang, in time you meet your guru. And a guru is so important because only a guru can point out our ignorance. See, an ignorant person doesn't know they're ignorant. When an ignorant person's with other ignorant people, they also don't know that they're ignorant. They pride themselves on being knowledgeable. But it's only with the guru that the guru can point out our ignorance. That's why this should be shared. We can't point out each other's ignorance. We do, but that shows our ignorance. Because we qualified to do that. So the sadhana for Chopai 16 is follow. Follow. Whatever advice you give to people, follow that. If you're interacting with people, you have to follow through for them. To live a life of help. Similar Chopai comes in 17. Tumaro mantra vibhishana mana Lankeshwara bhai sabha jagajana. Now it's not tuma upakara, it's tumaro mantra vibhishana mana. Your mantra, what is Hanumanji's mantra? Ram. Vibhishana mana. Vibhishana followed that. Bhai sabha jagajana. And the whole universe knows that Vibhishana turned into Lankeshwara. He became the Lord of Lanka. So I'll give you some details on this. Vibhishana's previous incarnation is Dharmaruchi. Dharmaruchi is the prime minister of a king whose name is Pratapa Bhanu. Pratapa Bhanu was cursed for being power hungry. And he became Ravana. Now, if the president gets impeached, and so all of his workers will get impeached too. If this happens, correct? Because they're all partners in that too. So when Pratapa Bhanu became Ravana, then Dharmaruchi, who's Pratapa Bhanu's minister, became Vibhishana. So Tulsidas Ji says Vibhishana is not Ravana's full brother, he's Ravana's half brother. Okay? Continuing is, when Vibhishana was living in Lanka, all Vibhishana did was remember Bhagwan Rama, was chant Bhagwan Rama's name. And so when Hanumanji came and started burning down Lanka, and he wasn't discriminate in what he burned. He burned all. Fire is not discriminate. It is indiscriminate. all burned down other than, and Tulsidas doesn't describe Vibhishana's home as a graha, like we live in. He describes it as a mandira. That Vibhishana's mandir never burned down. And now we'll fast forward a little bit more about Vibhishana. So now Vibhishana has been kicked out of Lanka. Ravana literally kicked his brother. And Vibhishana joined Bhagwan Rama's team, the winning team. And it became the last day of this battle. And Ravana shows up on his chariot with his armor and his weapons. And Bhagwan Rama comes on barefoot, wearing just a dhoti, and he has his bow and arrows. And Vibhishana is seeing all of this, and he runs over to Bhagwan Rama, crying, saying, "What are you doing?" And he says, "I've come here to fight." He says, "This is not an ordinary warrior. This is Ravana. Do you see his chariot and his armor and his weapons?" And Bhagwan is smiling and nodding. And then he says to Vibhishana, "Do you see my chariot and armor and weapons?" And then he begins describing what his chariot and armor and weapons are. And they're all virtues. There's a wheel that's courage, and there's a flag that's truth, and on and on and on. And when Vibhishana is hearing this, he starts crying more, saying, "Not only am I not afraid for you, I am not afraid, period, now." And this has all happened because of Bhagwan's Leela. That's why I told you he was Dharmaruchi before, and now he became Vibhishana. That Hanumanji happened to interact with him in Lanka. And when Bhagwan Rama met Vibhishana for the first time, he didn't even call him Vibhishana, he called him Lankeshwara. Even though Ravana is the ruler of Lanka, but he called Vibhishana Lankeshwara because this is Bhagwan's Leela. He's the director. He already knows how this play is going to end. And not just for Ramayana, for all of us too. Then why worry? Hanumanji's mantra to Vibhishana was surrender. Surrender to Rama. Don't be complacent to Ravana. Surrender. And when Vibhishana, so many great people, when Vibhishana finally did this, you see, he became the king of Lanka, and more importantly, he found Bhagwan Rama. That is the infinite return that I'm talking about, just like in the previous Chopai. Okay, let's bring this to a adhyatmic level. What does mantra mean? What does mantra mean? Verse, correct? Okay, what does verse mean? Shloka. What does shloka mean? And we just play this circle. Mananat trayate iti mantra. Mananat trayate iti mantra. Mananat means when reflected upon, trayate helps one to cross over. A mantra is that which, if reflected upon, will help one cross over fear. That's what a mantra is. So if you are chanting mantras but you're not becoming courageous, it's because we're chanting and not reflecting. So all of the mantras that come in our lives, they're not just to be taken casually. Do Sandhya Vandanam. Om Bhurabhuvaswa Tattvatarvarenyam, and then we fly through that, right? Or just play a recording while you do the dishes. That's my Sandhya Vandanam. And why do it when the sun is out, right? Just turn the light bulb on, and then that's the new sun in the kitchen. Do it in the bathroom, in the shower. It's so efficient. You have to do it anyways. That reflection has to be there. And I had shared that Hanumanji's mantra was surrender. When you surrender, that means you cannot depend on yourself anymore. You have to depend on whom you've surrendered to. The ego has to depend on Bhagwan. The ego has to depend on the self. That's the mantra. to let go of deservership, let go of doership. If we can do that, if we can reflect on depending on Bhagwan, on Atman, we will become Vibhi. Bhi means fear. Vibhi means without fear. Vibhishana became the one without fear. That opportunity exists for us too. In the Moha Mudgara course, you see we study the word bhitihi. Same. When you surrender to peace, you know what comes with peace? Prosperity. He had Bhagwan Rama and became the Lord of Lanka. And there's a beautiful episode in Puja Swami Vivekananda's life that narrates this. Swami Vivekananda, his original name was Narendranath Datta. And his family was utterly poor. And Sri Ramakrishna was radiating this love that Narendranath Datta just wanted to be with him. And he was thinking about prosperity. He was thinking about he has to look after his family. His father had passed away when he was young. So he went to Sri Ramakrishna and told him his confusion, his struggle. And Sri Ramakrishna told him, go ask the Divine Mother for what you want, what you need. So in a very somber and focused way, he went to the Kalima. And he was about to pray for Dana, but what came out of his mouth? Bhakti. He went there for Dana, and what came out? Bhakti. So he's confused by this, and he came back, and Sri Ramakrishna was laughing because he already knows that this is going to happen. So he says, what did you pray for? And he says, Bhakti. And he starts laughing some more. He says, go ask for what you want, what you need. So he goes back again, tries to go pray for Dhana, and Bhakti comes out again. And when he came back to Sri Ramakrishna, he realized what he really needed in his life, what he really wanted was love, or peace in this context. And with that came prosperity. His family was totally looked after. See, if you focus on the fundamental, the functional comes with it. But if you focus on the functional, the fundamental may or may not come with it. These are all historical. In Sugriva's life, Vibhishana's life, Narendranath Datta's life, this Jnana Yajna is not about me, but I can give you 4 discourses about my own life on how if one is dedicated to Guru Shishya Parampara, to Bhagwan, anything that I could have created in a professional sense, I would not be able to do as much as I'm able to do now. At a resource level, at a time level, at an effort level. The sadhana for the 17th Chaupai is support. Support. Support yourself. When you support yourself, you're able to support others. But how can you support yourself? By being supported by Bhagwan. You are supported, feel that, share that. Support. 18 is a famous Chaupai, but before we get there, what is the sadhana for the 10th Chaupai? Exert, correct? You were all saying pray. Exert, correct? Yes, that's what we said. What was the 4th sadhana? Learn. You have to remember the Chaupai, the golden earrings, the golden bangles. What was the 8th Chaupai? You have to think. Prabhu Charitra, Sunibeko Rasya. So the 8th was internalize. Hanumanji internalized Bhagwan Rama. What was the 17th chopai? You've all just given up now. I'm asking, you're just looking away. Looking away now. Support. We just spent 15 minutes on that. Anyways, I'm doing this for myself, not for you. So we're on the 18th chopai. Yuga sahasra yojana parabhanu lilyo tahi madura phalajanu. Yuga sahasra. A yuga sahasra yojana parabhanu. That you jumped 1,000 yojanas. Sahasra yojana. A yojana is 8 miles. So symbolically, you jumped 8,000 miles. Now, the sun is not 8,000 miles from the earth, okay? Symbolically, that's shared. Or it could be, but I'm not going to get into that because I could be too right or too wrong. So let's just delete that from my sharing. Towards the Bhanu, towards the sun, Lilyo tahi, because you thought it was a Madura Phala, because you thought it was a sweet fruit. Some people describe this chopai as Hanumanji thought this was a mango. Indians, correct? Some people think that it was an apple. Non-Indians. It's a sweet fruit based on Tulsidasji's sharing. So what had happened here is when Hanumanji was born, he was an infant and he was partly an animal. He was hungry. And when he looked up, he saw this sun. And he thought this was a sweet fruit. So he started reaching for it, but he has the strength of Bhagwan Shiva, of Vayu, of Kesari, of Anjana. So he just started rising towards this. You know, like in the movie, The Incredibles, you know that baby can become really heavy or on fire? They copied that from the Ashtasiddhi. That boy in The Incredibles, he's copied the Ashtasiddhi. So that's what Hanumanji is doing. He's rising towards the sun because he wants to eat it. Now, Surya Devata, he starts panicking. There's a UFO. So what do you do when there's a UFO? You call head of security. So he calls Indra. And Indra's he's not a thinking person. So he comes guns blazing. Now, the problem with Indra is his only gun is the Vajra. And anyone who's hit by this Vajra is annihilated. So he starts sending warnings, declare who you are, that this is a no-fly zone. Go back, but Hanumanji's Hanumanji. And Indra hits him with this. What is it? Lightning bolt. He hits him with this lightning bolt. And when this hits Hanumanji, there's many narrations to this, he became unconscious. And he fell to the ground. And when he landed on the ground, he hit his jaw. And when he hit his jaw broke. And that's why his mouth is swollen. But I think all monkeys look like him, but his is more accentuated. So this is what this chopai is narrating. Now, at an adhyatmic level, this is a wonderful chopai. I was once in Columbus, and I was teaching a group of Balavihara students. And this one boy in this class, he was so quiet. He didn't say anything. So we had a break in between, and I went and asked his teachers. I said, does this boy ever speak? Like, I keep asking him questions, giving him opportunities to share. And they say, no, he's really quiet, but you should ask him about space. So, and then quickly that break was over. So I came back and we started chatting again. And I forced the Balavihara class to finally get to the opportunity to ask this boy about space. And, this boy must be 7 years old and, shiny black hair, very proper. And he's kind of always looking down. And then I looked at him and I said, so what do you think about space? Who knows how I fit that into the class, but I did. And this boy literally went like this. And he went on and on and on about space. I had to tell him to be quiet afterwards. And the way he was thinking about all this, I could never conceive what he was describing. Because a child, in this case Hanumanji, is a pure expression of the intellect. The intellect can think of what it doesn't know. That's why the intellect is responsible for dreaming, imagining, visualizing. So Hanumanji reaching for the sun, see, he's envisioning that this is a fruit. This is a gaseous ball. You remember that scene in Lion King where they're all trying to understand what the sun is? And Pumbaa says, I thought it was this ball of gas, and then everyone's making fun of him. And the mind, you see how it's Indra that hits him with the Vajra. One of the devatas of the mind is Indra. The mind can only think of what it already knows, which is why the mind goes into the past. And what is the mind always telling the intellect? You can't do it. We've not experienced that. You're not good enough. As adults, don't we tell that to kids? Be responsible like us, which really we're saying is be miserable like us. Right? Grow up and stop laughing. That's what this dialogue of Hanumanji and Indra is. Now, making this more adhyatmic, the mind and the intellect each have strengths and weaknesses. If you identify too much with the mind, you become emotional. Can you figure out what life is about if you're an emotional person? I'd once read somewhere that a moodaha is not a foolish person. A moodaha is someone who's moody. That's where moody came from, moodaha, someone who's emotional, identified with their mind too strongly. And if you identify with the intellect too much, you become intellectual. You wear your glasses like this and judge everyone. That's what happens if you identify with the intellect too much. Now change the words. If you identify with the mind too much, you tend to be a ritualistic person. And if you identify with the intellect too much, you tend to be a spiritual person. A ritualistic person is doing, but doesn't know why they're doing, so they don't change. A spiritual person knows what they should do, but they don't do it, so they also don't change. So that's why there has to be this balance. We can't be too emotional or too intellectual. I was thinking about these words, ritual and spiritual. Did you know the word ritual is in the word spiritual? You didn't know that. You were saying yes, but you actually never paid attention to that. Today, as I was writing it out, I was thinking, oh, that's interesting. Why are spiritual people so judgmental about rituals when it's already in that word? And I was also thinking about strengths and weaknesses. If you go to a locker room now, they say, phones aren't allowed in the locker room, obviously, right? Now, every phone has a camera on it, but it's these same cameras that are highlighting brutality that's taking place, correct? Like we saw on an airline recently. So it shows like these cameras have strengths. Everything can be documented, but they have weaknesses too. Things that shouldn't be documented, also people are doing. It shows that nothing is intrinsically good or bad. In God's world, there's God. It's our relationship with all of this. The sadhana for Chopai 18 is visualize. Visualize. These last three Chopais are awesome. 19 and 20 are so deep also. Prabhu mudrika meli mukha mahi jaladi langi gai achara janahi. Prabhu mudrika. Whose ring? Bhagwan Rama's. Meli, when he got it, what did he do with it? Put it in his mukha. Put it in his mouth. Jaladi langi gai achara janahi. He went to Lanka and came back jaldi. Fast. As if he didn't even go. So more about this. After the Chatur Masya or Chatur Masa was finished, that's called the rainy season. then all of the animals that are in Sugriva's kingdom were called, almost like, I envision it like Pride Rock. You know, like in the Circle of Life where Sugriva's on that rock and all of the animals are around there. And he gives the instruction to find Mother Sita. And millions of animals go north. Millions go east. Millions go west. But only a few go south. And who's the last one? And each one is prostrating to Bhagavan Rama. The last one to prostrate to Bhagavan Rama is Hanumanji. And Bhagavan Rama gives him his ring. Says, show this to Mother Sita when you meet her. And so Hanumanji goes with Jambavan and so on. And they all end up in Rameshwaram. And then I've shared with all of you that he crosses to Lanka and so on and so forth. Now, at an adhyatmic level, those millions of thoughts, north and west and east, symbolize our typical thoughts about pleasure, about possession, about position. But those few thoughts that are going south symbolize inquiry. Those are thoughts not going south, but going towards who we are, towards our nature. And it was not those millions of thoughts that were all extrovert that found Mother Sita, correct? It was just those few thoughts that were directed. And out of those few thoughts, only one thought actually found Mother Sita, correct? Hanumanji is that thought that aham brahmasmi. We call that the Brahmakara vritti. See, right now, none of you are sleepy. Why? Because it's Friday. As soon as you're done this discourse, then you'll be at some sort of party. Thursday you were sleepy, Wednesday you were sleepy, Tuesday you were definitely sleepy. But right now, no. But when you come back from a party, you just brush your teeth, you're lying down in bed, you're reading Hanuman Chalisa, memorizing all of these verbs. And then you put it down and you have a thought in your mind, I want to sleep. I want to sleep. I want to sleep. And when that thought goes away, what are you doing? Sleeping. Last thought is I want to sleep. I am Brahman. I am Brahman. I am Brahman. And even that thought goes away. Hanumanji stops traveling, correct? And he becomes one with Mother Sita. He calls her Janani. He calls him Suta. They become one. So that's what's shown in this, is that we have to take our thoughts and direct them inside and go all the way to our nature. And the ideal way to do this is symbolized by that ring being in his mouth. What does that symbolize? Japa. Janma pati iti japa. That which protects you from being reborn is japa. Now I'll tell you the 3, or actually 4 benefits that come with japa. Here's benefit number 1. You raise the quality of your thoughts. And the higher the quality goes, what happens to the quantity? You reduce the quantity of your thoughts. And once you reduce the quantity of your thoughts, the 3rd benefit is you redirect the direction of those thoughts, the flow of those thoughts. When you're quiet, do you want to be very aggressive? When you're quiet, you want to become more quiet. So those thoughts get redirected. As they're getting redirected, remember there's less of them. And finally, one thought goes to aham brahmasmi, and finally that thought reaches that mark. And so the 4th benefit is release. They become released from dependency, from fear, from separation. And it was by japa. In Satya Yuga, in the golden period, What is the primary means for enlightenment, for moksha? It is contemplation, dhyana. As time went on, the mind became more distracted. During Bhagwan Rama's time, Treta Yuga, what was the primary means for enlightenment? Yaga. Yaga is a macro ritual. Time went on, Bhagwan Krishna's time, Dwapar Yuga. The mind had more atrophy. What was the primary means for enlightenment? Puja, which is a micro ritual. Time went on to where we are right now, which is Kali Yuga. There's more atrophy of the mind. And what is the primary means for enlightenment? Japa. See, that's the benefit of being born in Kali Yuga. Bhagwan thinks we're useless. So we don't even have to engage in dhyana or yaga or puja. All we're capable of doing is japa. So just do japa. But the saddest part is even that we don't do, isn't it? That's the only way out. You see how intense the news is getting now. We're back to a Cold War. Get enlightened and get out. It's not going to get better. So naturally, the sadhana for the 19th chopa is chant. When you start chanting, when you start becoming inward looking, you become more efficient. Jaladi langi gai achara janahi. When you have higher quality thoughts, you have a reduction in thoughts, you just become more efficient. You don't need to eat as much. You don't need to sleep as much. You don't need to talk as much. Your needs come down. You organize people more. You organize materials more. Become a visionary. All. Finally. Durgama kaja jagata ke jete sugama anugraha tumare te. Durgama kaj, difficult work. Jagata ke jete, the most difficult work in this universe. Sugama becomes easy. Tumare anugraha, with your blessings. As the Ram Setu was being built, all of these animals were taking trees and boulders and rocks, and they were writing Ram and putting this into the ocean. And those materials would hit the ground and come back up. Now, you may not have ever thought about this, but how did they know how to write Ram? Did you ever think about that? See, we just take it for granted that, yeah, they knew Sanskrit. They had markers, so they used to write it on the trees. How do you write on a tree? Go and try. It just shows you that not to take these things literally. It is to be offering this to Ram, to be dedicated to Ram. So they were doing all of this. Now, Bhagwan Rama was watching all of this, and he was thinking, how is this working? So he was looking around some, and he created a circumstance where nobody was watching him. And he went near the ocean, and he took a rock, and he wrote Ram, and he dropped this in the water. And it went straight to the bottom and stayed in the bottom. And he was shocked by this. And he kind of like looked around, you know, like when you do something wrong, like suppose you burp and you're thinking, hey, did anyone hear me? So who was watching him? Hanuman saw that. Hanumanji was watching him. And Hanumanji, he could feel that, you know, he's confused about what's happening. So he tells Bhagwan Rama, you're wondering, and they were speaking in English, like you and I are speaking right now. You're wondering why this rock never floated, correct? And Bhagwan Rama nods. He says that anything you let go of can never come back. Anything you let go of can never come back. Now, in this episode, I want to point out to you adhyasa. Now, all of our hardcore advanced Vedanta course, Bhagavad Gita course students, you know what adhyasa is, correct? Correct? Adhi asa. Adhi asa means to be near. Literally, adhyasa means superimposition. If I have a crystal and I bring it to my sweater, that crystal, though colorless, appears to be gray. My book, red. So superimposition is when you're near an entity, you take on its qualities. Hanumanji was always near Bhagwan Rama. If not physically, with his words. If not with his words, with his mind. And what is being shared here is that Tulsidas ji always remembered Hanumanji. Hanumanji always remembered Bhagwan Rama. So whose grace makes this work easy? It's not even Hanumanji's grace, it's Bhagwan Rama's grace that makes this easy. I wanted to highlight to you this adhyasa, that Hanumanji has the capacity to invoke and evoke Bhagwan Rama's grace. And that's why it's so important to be connected to the Guru Shishya Parampara. We say, Asmad Acharya Pariyantam, correct? To our immediate Guru, Vande Guru Paramparam. That immediate Guru is the one who's invoked the Anugraha, the superior Guru, who's invoked the grace of the superior Guru. And finally, Bhagwan. This is why we say the Guru Shishya Parampara has this capacity to bring God into our lives. I'm going to do a retreat soon. I just haven't decided what city. I'm leaning towards Raleigh to do a full retreat on Kabir's writings. And I distinctly remember one of Kabir's dohas, where he writes that you come into a room where your guru and God is there. Who do you prostrate to first? And he says to the guru, because the guru introduced you to God. Awesome. Kabir is the best. At an adhyatmic level. For any success in life, for any achievement, and definitively for sacred growth, 4 types of grace are required. 4 types of kripa. The highest kripa is Ishvara kripa. That is the grace of God. Ishvara kripa comes from or is initiated by Shastra kripa, the grace of the scriptures. Shastra kripa is initiated by Acharya kripa, the grace of one's guide. Acharya means the one who leads, can lead one through the terrain of the Shastra, the one who can navigate the Shastra. And here's the most important part. Acharya kripa is initiated by Swakripa, your own grace. You put in your effort. Acharya comes into your life. Shastra comes into your life. Who comes into your life? Bhagwan comes into your life. Here, if you think about the most difficult work in this universe, what is the most difficult work in this universe? Losing weight. What is the most difficult work in this universe? Managing people. What is the most difficult work? We're starting our understanding marriage retreat in Portland in a little while. Being married. What is the most difficult work in the universe? Moksha. Moksha is the most difficult task one can take up. But remember, Sugama anugraha tumare tete. When you start to work, freedom is possible. You take one step, all the rest of the grace will flow to you. I was walking back from our Jagadishwara Mandir in Mumbai by myself. This is when I was studying. And I think it was 4 months into the course. I had gone in August of 2005. This must have been November of 2005. And I was reflecting to myself that the only reason I'm living right now is for moksha. And I reflected that prior to coming to this ashram, I had so many only reasons to live. This is my only reason to live. And this is my only reason to live. And this is my only reason to live. And this is my only reason to live. So many reasons. And then it got refined to just that reason. And in that same revelation that was arising, I just had to keep moving. I just had to continue to be in satsang, and not just at a physical level, to internalize that satsang, that moksha is possible. And I know that. This is why I have faith in this instruction manual and our instruction manuals. The sadhana for the 20th Chaupai is trust. Trust. We have heard Hanuman Chalisa 10,000 times. Is that fair to say? 10,000 times? Okay. We have chanted Hanuman Chalisa 1,000 times. It's fair to say. We have read Hanuman Chalisa 100 times, if not 110 times. Do you love Bhagwan Rama? Do you love Bhagwan Hanumana? Do you love Tulsidas ji? And if you do, then keep doing what you're doing. But if you don't love Bhagwan Rama, Bhagwan Hanumana, the Guru Shishya Parampara enough, is because we're not engaged in patati. Patati means not reading, but studying. Study Bhagwan Rama, Bhagwan Hanumana, the Guru Shishya Parampara. And if you do, you will stop patati. What does patati mean? Falling. You will stop falling outside, you'll stop falling inside. How? Patati. By studying. But if we just go on with reading and chanting and hearing, there will be patati outside and there will be patati inside. Oh.